And off we go on our Tuesday Hey Mary Kay edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. And of course, today we're going to talk about JJ Watt to start things off. JJ Watt, after some Peloton news, Mary Kay, and or whatever we want to call it, and all sorts of fanfare, ends up going to the Arizona Cardinals. And I guess I just want to know if you can take me back to that initial reaction when you found out it was Arizona. It surprised me because that's a name we hadn't heard very much of. What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, the most we really had heard about the Cardinals really was DeAndre Hopkins trying to lure him there on social media. And then actually, I do think that Steve Keim did mention something about it along the way where he said, yeah, we'll take a swing at it. So they kind of kept it low profile, but it was all low profile for the most part throughout this whole entire process. I mean, you didn't really hear too many things coming out of JJ's camp about what he wanted. I mean, I was finding out some little things here and there, but there was really nothing concrete about exactly who were the front runners and all those sorts of things. So one of the things that we heard last week from Diana Rossini was that he did receive an offer in the $15 to $16 million range. And that started me thinking that perhaps the Browns were going to bow out, or maybe they had already bowed out by then, because that was probably a little higher than they may have wanted to pay.
Okay, so what's next for the Browns? There's names out there we've discussed, and now they can fully turn their focus towards who they can put next to Myles Garrett. Let's start here. Should we be thinking a long-term solution, or are the Browns going to approach this looking for maybe a 1 or 2 year deal?
You know, I think they have options, and it depends on the age of the player and the price of the player. So you can set these contracts up any way you really want to in free agency. You can go for an older guy and do a 1 year deal and hope you're going to get the best out of him. You can do a 25-year-old and try to get a 3 year deal in the $7 million range. And there are all those price points in free agency. There's a little bit of everything. It's a smorgasbord of pass rushers. There are tons of guys. I mean, even Hassan Reddick is now, he is an Arizona Cardinal. And, now when you see that they just signed JJ Watt, you have to really wonder, are they just going to let him walk? And there is a chance that they will do that. I don't know if they're going to be able to pay him what he was worth. Now, he did have 12 and a half sacks last season, which is tremendous. But as we've talked about before, 5 of those came in one game.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things that, a guy signs there and, now another guy might become available because they might have Chandler Jones coming back. That's probably the pairing that they really want there. Who's like at the top of your list? If you were making a list of guys, do you have somebody who's at the top of your list? I've been talking a lot about Trey Hendrickson from New Orleans. Has only done it 1 year, but I've sort of made the case as to why the Browns might still want to take a look at him. I looked at Spotrac today for a post I'm working on my list of guys. They've got him about 3 years, $30-ish million, $30.9 million. And if you're going to pay somebody that amount, I think that's a guy they'd want to do it with because he just turned 26 in December. So I don't think he's a 1 or 2 year rental unless he just doesn't, there's not a big market out there for him. So he's near the top of my list. Who do you kind of have when you make your list in your mind, or maybe you have something, solid? Who do you have sort of at the top of your list?
Well, one of the guys that they will look at if he becomes available is Von Miller. And I think they like those guys that have had consistent sack production for a number of years. Now, Trey Hendrickson was phenomenal last year, but as you said, he's only done it for 1 year. And even when you draft a guy coming out of college, you like to really look for consistent sack production over a number of years so that it wasn't just a flash in the pan and it wasn't just just some kind of skewed thing that happened that year, that you're really seeing what this person is all about. I think Shaq Barrett, for some reason, I feel like they're going to do whatever they can to possibly keep him. We're still in a situation right now where guys can get franchised or transition tagged. So some of these guys that we're talking about are not going to hit the market at all, right? There's one guy in particular that I was intrigued by, Leonard Williams, and he is actually in a contract dispute. He's probably going to go to arbitration. He's trying to be classified as a defensive end when it comes to being franchised, because you get paid more than you do as a defensive tackle. So he is somebody that I don't even know if Leonard Williams from the Giants is going to make it to the market. But he's also somebody at the age of 26 that I was very intrigued by. I like your guy, Trey Hendrickson. I like him. I would be a little bit nervous about the one year sack production, but you might be able to get him for less because of that. You might be able to get him in the $12 million range as opposed to paying somebody $16 million. So those are some of the guys that I would be intrigued by. And I would give Von Miller an opportunity if he became available. I mean, an 8-time Pro Bowler. If you could get him at the right price, I think he would do well with Myles Garrett.
The name, did you mention Bud Dupree?
I didn't mention Bud Dupree because he's coming off of the torn ACL, which happened sort of late in the season. And I really wasn't quite sure how to rank him or where to rank him, but I do like him a lot as a player.
There are guys out there, that's for sure. There are definitely a lot of guys out there that the Browns can take a look at if they want to spend some money on a pass rusher. They can go so many different directions. Yeah.
And there's 2 other names that we do need to mention again here, because they're both probably going to be available again. And that's Jadeveon Clowney and Yannick Ngakoue. These are 2 guys that the Browns looked into last year.